All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a couple of real people out there, just like you, just like me. All right, Grand, holy crap, Batman. Their debut album, another band from Sweden. And if you like, I'm just going to say, if you like 80s music from just about every genre, if you like the pop side of things, the rock side of things, a little bit of glamminess to this, um, it's more adult contemporary at times than anything else, but just a brilliant record from start to finish. If you haven't heard this, start with the song Caroline and then work your way through the whole album. Like in the old days, Caroline is the first track, and just really amazing music. What can I say? People in Sweden, like the musicians there, they like the music that we all used to listen to, and they pay tribute to it, and they make records that harken back to a much better time to be alive. When I heard this record, I got emotional because I'm like, I didn't think they were going to make any more music like this. This is really good. And I tend to like things that are a little more edgy, a little harder, but not too much more so than this. So this is a little bit lighter. So if you don't want your ears to bleed, check out Grand, courtesy again of Frontiers Music. Again, one more time. All right. Speaking of Grand, this trademark thing, I'm getting hit up with all kinds of information about the whole trademark situation. Did a little bit of my own research on it. And I got to tell you, if Steve Perry had caught this right away, I don't think he'd have any legal bills at all. When you file trademarks, you have 3 or 4 months to go to the trademark office and say, hey, this can't be trademarked without my express written consent. Now, Perry's team has said that the whole thing should be null and void because this is how they set up contracts. And Neil Sean's argument is, well, we didn't cover trademarks. And the legal team's going to say, well, it's implied in the contract that no matter what whatever it is you're trying to split up, whether it's touring revenue, whether it's merchandising, whether it's copyright, whether all these things, right, it's implied that you need to call Steve Perry. Now, keep in mind, nobody calls anybody anymore. Jonathan Cain has said the only way we really talk to Perry is through his attorneys or his business people, his accountants, whatever it is. The meeting, that famous meeting where supposedly Perry wasn't there, and he wasn't there physically, all right, but he was there, right? He was definitely there to put in his 2 cents to say, hey, I don't agree with Cain and Sean, and we want to take this band over. I believe, see, Journey is a business, and Journey doesn't have to continue as a touring band. They don't have to. I would think it would be a good idea for Steve Perry for these guys to be out on the road. It makes them money. It makes everybody money. Perry doesn't have to do the work. He doesn't have to go out there on the road, and he's still going to make some money. But you can tell he's not happy with the way they're running the business. I mean, maybe he is to some degree, but the fact that these guys said, hey, we're going to do these trademarks, Perry may not want these trademarks to go forward at all. It's not like he wants the revenue from the trademarks. He may say, no, this is stupid to put, who's crying now on a t-shirt. That's just stupid, right? I don't know. I mean, I'll have to say this. People will buy stuff, right? I have a shirt that says, I've got a peaceful, easy feeling, right? And I think that was kind of marketed under the radar. And because that phrase hasn't been trademarked, at least I don't think it has, people can just put it on a t-shirt. So Neil Sean probably during the lockdown period had some free time. He and his wife probably said, you know what, we can do stuff here. We can put these trademarks out there And there's nothing that Steve Perry can do about that. Now, within the first 3 or 4 months, Perry could have just called the trademark office and said, no, you can't do this. And I'm filing a cease and desist order, and you can't keep going with this. And then they would review it, and they would come to one conclusion or the other without any legal wrangling back and forth, with no attorneys involved. Once the thing has been posted and here's the trademark, then it becomes a legal issue if you contest it after the fact. And I think this is where Perry is, because this is a good 2 years, or at least like a year and a half after I think these trademarks went forward. There's 20 songs that these guys were trying to trademark. Now, for Perry fans, most people are like, you know what? This is all of what Steve did. Steve did everything for this band. This band would be nothing without Steve. I've made an argument that I think Journey would be something without Steve, but again, it's hard to say. They don't have Steve Perry as a singer. In the 80s, what do you do? I mean, Greg Raleigh had the great rock radio voice, but Greg was not your top 40 crooner. And Herbie knew that if this band was going to make money, and that's what Perry and Herbie did. They brought money to Journey. They brought success, radio airplay, which at this stage, folks, is going to go on in perpetuity for certain Journey songs, especially Don't Stop Believing. You've got a cash cow. You've got an ATM that will go on probably for eternity. So people are recognizing this. You know, you sell your rights off like Kane and Sean did to this Hypnosis. They're buying up a lot of stuff, and that's it. It's a one-time lump sum payout. But I can guarantee you that over time, right, that money is going to likely be a drop in the bucket compared to what that company will earn over the lifetime, which is, again, it's not just the lifetime, it goes on. So people will leave planet Earth, and then 100 years from now, Hypnosis or whoever buys them out, Black Rock or somebody will buy them out, and then they'll own all the rights. And it just, again, and that money will get bigger and bigger. So it's one of the reasons I think Perry hasn't sold anything. He's held on to it. I mean, you've got everybody out there selling, you know, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, all these people, because honestly, no offense to Dylan or Springsteen or pretty much anybody on that list, a lot of those things I think will diminish over time. They may be valuable, and those companies can market them for the next 50 years, maybe, who knows? And they'll still, you know, break even, or they'll still make money off of it. But I think the Journey stuff, and there are probably other things like the Beatles, that'll go on forever. Journey will go on forever. There are certain things I think that will go on forever. But then again, you never can predict this stuff, because where was Kate, where was Kate Bush like a year ago on college radio playlists back in the 1980s? And then, you know, my son, who's 18 years old, is like, Dad, have you ever heard Running Up That Hill? Played it, been there, did it. Great song. She used to hang out with Peter Gabriel. Very interesting voice, very talented, but completely out of nowhere. I mean, I heard a song by Tones on Tail in a Ford commercial a few years back. The song is called Go. We had a little 45 that we used to play in college. I think it was like Beggar's Banquet Records. Okay, so now it's valuable. And is it the perfect song for a commercial? Yeah, in that regard. And the band wasn't making any money, I'm sure, at that point. So yeah, sure, you want to use this? It'll cost you $10 million. Boom, part of the ad campaign. So this will go on for a very long time. And the Journey stuff is worth so much money. And do I think putting slogans or putting song titles on t-shirts is a thing that's going to sell? Yeah, it will. I mean, it's surprising what sells. You can go on Facebook and people are always marketing t-shirts that are kind of bootlegs, kind of rip-offs. I've got this shirt that says, "I've got a peaceful, easy feeling." Now, I'm wondering now, is Don Henley going to start to trademark all of these song titles with the estate of the late, great Glenn Frey and everybody else involved, depending on the song? Most likely it's a Frey Henley composition. I mean, Don Henley, though, he's a stickler for this stuff. He's worse, I think, than Steve Perry, far worse. I know he's got a team that's active that looks to find people that are violating the rules, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or any social media. In fact, I know of at least in one instance, an Eagles tribute band that had to cancel a show because they were doing like an outdoor event or something like that. And it was flagged because that music was going to go out into the airwaves, into literally the airwaves, and nobody was going to get credit for it who wrote it, basically. I think that's the premise, is that, hey, you can't play this music, at least if it's on the radio, you're going to get credit for that spin. You're going to get revenue from that spin. But maybe in a confined place where there's less than 1,000 people or something, I don't know what the criteria is. I have no idea, but I think the band ended up canceling, and there are Eagles tribute bands that are going to run into this stuff. You're going to market, you're going to put, the album covers or some of the, even just a cheap knockoff of an album cover. You're going to do like a Hotel California thing. They're going to come get you. Didn't they sue the hotel, the actual Hotel California, for basically saying, yeah, this is the hotel that inspired the Eagles album cover? And the Eagles swooped in and said, nope. And I'm talking about Don Henley, basically, and his team. Nope, you can't do it. So Perry is just doing what Steve Perry has been doing since he took control of this band, when he became really the star player. And it's sad because, yeah, it's a talented band in 1981, 1982. Some would say they like the Greg Raleigh version, that sort of that genesis or that yin and yang between Raleigh and Perry when Perry joined. I really like that time frame because Greg is a great singer. He's a very different singer. And those two voices are so contrasting. And I miss Greg Raleigh. I like Jonathan Cain, but I miss Greg Raleigh in that band. He added something that still needs to be there. They've become a little cartoonish in their presentation, whereas back in the old days, I think they were a legitimate rock band with this killer new singer, but they were still a rock band. They weren't just this adult contemporary band that, I mean, it's hard to really put this into words, but it's a different feeling. It has a different texture to it if you go back and listen. And some of that is because of the production, great production of guys like Roy Thomas Baker. You can't really argue with how he brought that to a whole new level. But even this stuff prior to Perry's arrival, I know people disagree with me, but look into the future. Go listen to that. That is basically what's going to happen next with this band. You hear it on that album. I mean, that is the very beginning of what's going to be an amazing run for a band where over time, this stuff will just be slugged out in court. Perry, having this case now, basically has said, this can't go forward and I'm going to put an end to it. Neil Sean thinks he's going to win the case. He might win the case. But then again, Steve Perry, he's got free time. Everybody kind of has some free time, really. Journey just stopped touring. They're going to be back, and they've got a big tour planned with Toto. And I kind of made a joke saying that this will help Steve Perry pay his legal bills because, again, Perry's already getting a cut. And a lot of people are like, how much of a cut do you need? It's just a t-shirt. It's just a coffee mug. Well, it's the principle of it. And I can see both sides of this issue. And a lot of fans are just thinking to themselves, you know what? I just want to listen to some music. If I'm Team Journey, you know what I'm really needing to do? I'm needing to get Freedom out there. I need to get Eclipse out there. I need to get Revelation out there. All those Arnell records. Arnell is your singer. There needs to be somebody who can market this to radio, market this to TV, market this to movies. Get an Arnell song in a movie, right? I mean, seriously. And then Perry, he's not really going to be able to do very much with that. I mean, he probably can do something to try to get a piece of the action there. But the boys really need, if they want to move forward, and I know people are going to say, well, it's because the music isn't anywhere near as good as the Perry material. That might be true, and it might be because we have a perception, because we've had that music with us for so long. And if you listen to Freedom, all of those Journey elements are there. There's one track that irritated people a lot, and I said, hey, this is a throwback to the pre-Steve Perry days. Neil Schon, when he went out with this Journey Through Time project, they played everything from the first album up until the present day. And so it's pretty amazing that a lot of people don't even know that there was a Journey prior to Perry. And there's a Journey now without Perry. Is Journey better with Perry? Let me put it this way. Journey is better with Perry when Perry was in his prime. And so I think people need to let go of this idea that there's going to be a reunion. There is not. Neil said no reunion. And not only that, even if things were on good terms, I just don't think Perry wants this. He is comfortable. He is happy. He's an older man now. I think, for him to go out on the road and be a road warrior at this stage in his life, when he said how much, the road tore him up back in the 80s, I think that's why he's just not into this anymore. And he hasn't been for how many years? Like 35 years. He hasn't been into this. Yeah, I know. He toured a little bit for the Love of Strange Medicine tour there in 94, 95, whatever that was. But yeah, since then, not so much, and definitely not at all with Journey for 35 years. So anyway, people, that's my video on Perry and the trademarks. Here's Grand. Hopefully they trademarked their logo here. I mean, it's just Grand in big letters, and I like it. And it is a grand album. You should check it out, courtesy of Frontiers Music. Get into some new stuff, because you know what, folks? The old stuff, it's eventually going to fade away, a lot of it. And you're seeing that now on the radio, as fewer and fewer songs that you used to like are being played on the radio, and they focus test it down, down, down. And to me, it's really boring. It's really boring. Imagine if they could kind of mix it up and play some new stuff with that classic old stuff, and then maybe go a little bit deeper on those albums than they currently go. But it's the world we're living in. There's not a lot of creativity out there. And that goes for all of those record people, those radio people. It's all automated. It's all just, hey, listen to us because we're in your hometown and we sound just like the station, 500 miles away in another town. So, hey, if you don't listen to us here, you'll listen to us over there, and it's the same thing. It is. It's boring, and something needs to change, but it doesn't appear it's going to happen anytime soon.